Hello, and welcome back to The Drop, a podcast exploring the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown, and all of the spaces in between. My name is Claire. I'm a shadow worker, Akashic Records practitioner, and just a person on this earth figuring stuff out. So today we are dropping into the beginning of a series, Beyond Ascension, Gnosis, Control, and the freedom of seeing clearly. This is going to be a lot. It's probably going to be, a long series. We'll see. I mentioned some of the topics last week, diving into the Demiurge, into all of these systems. But when I started thinking about it more, this topic specifically of the Demiurge and just everything that's sort of crumbling and coming to light right now, we just see it in so many spaces. And so, I decided to break it down a bit more, move through it piece by piece. So if you're here, awesome, buckle in. As you know, or if you've been following the podcast for a while, I shared 2 episodes almost a year ago, this past spring, about, they're titled The Narcissistic God, about kind of my point of view of, I was speaking specifically to Christianity because that has been my experience. The Demiurge, the general idea that the God a lot of people worship and are kind of entangled with is actually the devil that they are very much afraid of. So they're like being kept in this narcissistic, abusive relationship where their savior is also their torturer. I'm kind of opening that up a bit more. I think I said in that episode that, when I was a teenager in high school, it all came out to my very, very religious family that I did not agree with or, subscribe to their religion. And my dad sort of gave me this task, I guess. He just said, Claire, all I want is the truth. And I think, this religion, like his Southern Baptist religion, is the truth. But if you find something different, if you find the truth, I want you to tell me. And that set me off on a very long journey of this. So I'm sharing more deeply about it now because, as I said in my last episode, so much is happening right now. So many curtains and veils and masks are falling. People are really seeing just the absolute vile nature of so many people and organizations, groups, infrastructures, everything. And I don't know, a lot's coming to light. And a lot of chains are falling off. And while it's terrifying and dark in so many ways, it's also deeply freeing in a lot of other ways. So let's take a deep breath and drop in. I'm starting this series in a space that is probably going to be uncomfortable or tender for some. However, I feel it's important because, again, this demiurgic energy, it's not just the Christian religion. It's not just the Abrahamic religions. It's it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Especially within the the kind of spirituality corner of the universe. And so, yeah, I want to just start with this series isn't about tearing spirituality apart. It's not about debunking belief or trying to prove anyone or anything wrong. It's about noticing something subtle and uncomfortable and bringing light to it, because, we see this shift of people turning from, structured, organized religion to spirituality, because a lot of people find religion like quite restrictive or fear-based or authoritarian. And areas of spirituality offer something more. For me, I did not feel good being within the Christian religion. I suppose certain spiritual practices, energy work specifically, I work with energy. That has been the thing that has helped me move through lifetimes of shadow. And yeah, I found truth. I found more freedom in it. However, within this world of spirituality, of energy, awakening, of higher consciousness and ascension, there's something off here, even after all of the healing, all of the awareness, the rituals, the downloads, the integrations, the activations. In so many of these spaces, there's still just like this feeling of waiting for the alignment, for the shift, for, if you're in the like new age space, the new earth, or just like that moment when like everything finally clicks into place and life, quote, really begins. This is what I want to talk about. Because, spirituality, which is meant to liberate, it so often recreates this feeling of being trapped. Like, though it has different language, different aesthetics than, maybe traditional Christianity or other religions, it is the same structure. It too is wrapped up in this demiurgic energy. In so many spaces, there's still like a problem with the world. There's a promise of resolution. There's like a future moment where you'll finally be okay. Paralleling like it's a sinful fallen world, like Christ the Redeemer is going to come back, and then you're going to go to heaven and have like your heavenly reward, right? So religion calls it salvation. The New Age spiritual world calls it ascension. It is the same arc. It's just a different pair of clothing. As humans, we have this tendency to outsource our own knowing, our own power, or even to outsource meaning, right? And, being human is overwhelming. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Not knowing is destabilizing. And like even freedom can feel terrifying, like real freedom, because let's be frank, most of us have never actually felt real, true freedom. Like we might think we have when we go somewhere for a plant medicine journey, or, we rebel against our strict systems or what have you, but like true actual freedom, wouldn't even know what to do with it. So we reach, right, for these stories, for these systems that organize chaos, like stories or systems that explain why things are broken or who is responsible, or, kind of help us understand where it's all going. Like these stories create relief, but relief is not the same thing as truth. And relief is definitely not the same thing as freedom. So, looking at this again to just mirror what I'm seeing, like religion told us God has a plan, trust it. Spirituality often says the universe has a plan, trust it. Different wording, same instruction. And while trust isn't bad, faith isn't bad, meaning isn't bad, there's a fine line between trust and abdication. Just like totally giving up your own knowing. There's a fine line between surrender and giving up your authority to something invisible, to a guru, to a teacher, to a healer, to a priest or a pastor. And when every difficulty is reframed as part of the plan, or every violation of a boundary becomes a lesson, or any intuited thing is overridden by divine timing, all of this language, discernment gets very lost. We get lost in the sauce of all of it. And there's a distinction here that matters. This distinction between awakening and explanation. Explanation soothes the mind, right? Awakening destabilizes it. So I see this so much. I myself, I like as a teenager was like, wait, all this that I'm being taught in church, isn't it? It doesn't track. That awakening moment, I immediately went searching for explanation because it's like, I need this to make sense. I need to understand. I need answers. And, as people go through different series of awakenings, it's like, oh my gosh, my mind just got blown wide open. Now I need to go find information to make it all make sense. Explanation gives you a narrative. Awakening kind of removes the need for one. So many spiritual systems are incredibly, incredibly busy, constant information or frameworks or cosmologies, entities, dimensions, densities, timelines. There's just so much to get lost in to try to make it all make sense. And it can feel very, very expansive. It is very expansive when you realize oh, wait, there's more to life, to belief, to my soul, to existence than what I've been taught in school or in church or by society. But with all of that, it can become just yet another mental enclosure, because you start asking, like, how does this fit into the system versus what is happening right now in my experience? And when you're trying to fit things like into the new structure or new space that you're in, that is not freedom. That's like administration. Like you've just moved from one room, the room of conditioning, religion, society, whatever room you were in before, into a bigger room, but it's still a room. You're still trapped in it. And so again, it's not freedom. You're just in a different cage, controlled by the same energetic that controlled the cage that you were in before. And yeah, to just continue with this sort of parallel or mirror of this is, in the same way religion promises something after death, like spirituality also offers like postponement, sort of. Like it's not as obvious in the sense of like, if you're a Christian, you'll live your life and it's probably going to be hard because the world is broken and fallen. But when you die, you get your heavenly reward. It's not quite as obvious as that, but it comes up in different ways. Like you're not unhappy, you're purging, or you're not stuck, you're integrating. You're not avoiding something, or something isn't, something that you want to work isn't working right now because like it's not aligned yet. None of these ideas are inherently wrong. However, they can and do become a way of never fully arriving. Like it leaves you suspended. Because arrival would mean like no more waiting, no more excuses, no more future moments where life finally begins. Arrival is here. It's right now. It's ordinary and it's quiet but it's not marketable, right? So much in the spiritual space is marketable. And so much of it is this promising of like, do this meditation, go through this course, this activation, whatever, and you'll be free. Your vibration will rise. Your frequency will be higher, and you can just step out of this old life and like into this brand new one. It doesn't work like that. And then you get caught in this loop of all the meditations and activations and courses and this and that to, raise your vibe higher, because again, it's kind of blanketed with this like, oh, it's not aligned yet. You're still purging, you're still integrating, you're still this and that. And it's just this space of suspension. Like you're not living, even though it's a space that preaches presence and life and fullness. It's a space of suspension. It's a space of not being fully there. It's a space of looking to the future, or staying stuck in this rut of the past and trying to clear and clear and clear and clear, which I'm not saying any of this is inherently wrong, but like we have to look at it from this perspective sometimes, because again, it creeps up very quietly. And I just see so many parallels between certain structures, religions, the spiritual space, and like how this demiurgic energy is just sort of controlling all of it. So I wanted to start here because, you know, as we go through this series, like I want to dive into certain dynamics, but I also want to just like offer a reframe, you know, that we'll build on throughout this series of like spirituality doesn't exist to take you somewhere else. It exists to help you see clearly where you already are, not above the world, not beyond your body, not outside of the mess, but like here in your nervous system, in this moment, in this imperfect, unfinished, beautiful life that is meant to be lived. It's not meant to be meditated or prayed away, right? Anything that tells you freedom requires leaving this life, you know, so like the heavenly reward after you die, ascending beyond life on earth, that deserves to be questioned, not rejected, but questioned. So, with all of that being said, my purpose here is not, I'm not trying to replace, you know, one belief system with another. I'm not trying to like chase a better story, but I'm really trying to bring some harsh light to these systems that essentially just keep us trapped. You know, we're learning how to stop needing the cage, even if the cage is a beautiful one. And like learning what freedom really is, because again, I've just seen, I don't know, people are opening their eyes to it. And yeah, so hopefully this series will be helpful for you. Please reach out with any questions, any opinions. I would love to hear your thoughts. But in next week's episode, we are going to be diving into the Demiurge. So stay well. I hope you have a beautiful day or night wherever you are on this earth. And until next time.